morning and welcome to Frank's School. This is the 7th year, 105th day, first video of Frank's School online. This is my January update, not of the school itself. This is my update of my efforts to create a needed movie, which I call Resurrection, although I'm thinking about changing the name to Hope, a wordless movie. And each month for about a year, I guess it'll be, I'm giving these updates. I had some misinformation here in the last one. Entropia, that was wrong what I said. There is no new information that it's about to become public. I saw my own memory from a year before, and I thought it was new information. No, it was just me. So sorry about that. And Bloom Day. I talked about Bloom Day, April 1st. I still think of that as Bloom Day. This is Bloom Day minus 4 months, 4 updates. And, it's very clear that this movie is not going to be begun on Bloom Day. This year will be missed. It's possible. It's still possible if just as a miracle, a director, an inspired director and or producer came forth and said, yeah, the time is short, we got to do it now. It is possible. It's possible largely because of, I changed my mind about the venue, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. The other thing is the schedule. I had felt this feeling I had this feeling that it had to be done at best in order to affect the United States presidential election in November 22nd. I'll come back to that too. I don't feel that need quite so strong now. All right, let me tell you about the new venue. It's still on this property, but what I realized, and I realized partly because one of the things I'm going to concentrate on the school itself, on Frank's School, in the coming year, is my research into the word village, the very concept of village. And I'll say more about that later as well. But as I was thinking about, so in some kind of an ideal world, how would you start a village in some perfect world, say on a flat plain, no hills, an imaginary place? And I got thinking about it, and it made me realize that actually up in the woods, on the edge of the woods, I began what I call the goat fold, which is 4 faux huts fenced together in order to contain my goats if I choose to take them away from the houses up into there. And that now is what I think would be the better venue. It would be simpler. One of the problems here is I'm resurrecting a village that was 100 people strong, but as I so often said, forgotten and bulldozed, and it's hard. You almost have to use your imagination to see where that village was. But it's also a school. There'll be about 50 buildings here. There already are about, I don't know, 12 or 15. I can't stop to count them. But when you add 30 faux huts to them, it's going to get up by 50. I'm watching that cat. It doesn't knock the camera. Anyway, that is only 4. And there, I can leave it. I don't really have to do anything to it. I can leave it abandoned. It started, but I can leave it abandoned. And it, being only 4 buildings, would very quickly and reasonably be resurrected. So, and it's part of a spectrum, really. If you go further up into the woods, there's one single faux hut that I started way up in the woods at the very edge of the property. And then there's those 4. Then if you come down into where I spend most of my time, this is Frank's School, and here there's about 50 buildings and, all kinds of other stuff going on here. But it doesn't stop here, actually, because in the movie I have the market, the scenes of the weekly market, which could still be on this property. But there's also sort of an outreach possible into the greater community, because I have a neighbor who is in many ways doing something similar to what I'm doing, but more modern, which puts it at the other end of the spectrum. Now, if you go beyond that, then you're into the world of big trucks and paved roads and street lights and all that kind of stuff. But all right, now some new information now. Character adjustments. Bryn, she should be also a dancer. As a matter of fact, that might be one of her main characters. She's Marion's daughter. She's associated with the goats and keeping the goats. She has her leitmotif. But I think she should be a dancer. She always was in my mind, ever since I conceived this. But I kind of lost sight of that. Terpsichore would be the goddess, Greek goddess, that she would be based on to that extent. I mean, she becomes a cross between Brunhilde and Terpsichore, if you can imagine that. Another adjustment, Marion, the old man. Well, he's the creator in a way. It starts with him. He summons these gods and goddesses really into human. Well, they're disguised as humans, but he summoned them. That has always been there. But I also think he needs to be the benefactor, not so much a main character doing the building and stuff and the resurrection, but the benefactor, the one who can come up with the stuff that they absolutely need. I had begun to think of that in terms of, say, a hardware store owner, and when I imagined this as I originally did, in an abandoned village in the mountains of Portugal. You know, there's certain things that you do need, and I think he should take on that role, because with his village, he can come up with all kinds of stuff that they need. So that would work. And there's a precedent for this. In Robinson Crusoe, Swiss Family Robinson, there are the wrecked ships. They end up being sources of things that are absolutely needed. You go to Mysterious Island, and I've talked about these elsewhere. Captain Nemo is the hidden benefactor. He not so much their balloon that they hot air balloon that they end up there on, but they're at one point they find a chest full of tools that are absolutely critical to them. Well, Captain Nemo has done that, so it's there. All right, now with these new adjustments, or with these adjustments, and with the new adjusted venue, should I do another screenplay, or maybe a real screenplay? Maybe I will. I put it in quotes because this is a wordless movie, but given that more limited venue, I could more easily explain shot by shot, without already having the director there, how the movie would be made. I think I'll continue to work on the soundtrack as I have time. As I say, the pressure I feel is now off to some extent, and really, you know, a lot of these, if somebody showed up and said, well, I've got skills with music, I can modulate things, I can use a computer to do this very stuff, good, let's work together, and off we go, and we could do this soundtrack, at least rough it out. But I may return to that, depending a little bit on the weather and here in the wintertime. All right, finally, now a reason that the pressure is not quite so much on is because the awareness of this environmental, this social, this ecological, humanitarian problem now is so much stronger now than it was, I could even say a month ago, but a year ago certainly, and so much because of this girl, Greta Thunberg. Here she is, a Person of the Year on Time magazine. I mean, that got some people's attention, as it should have. And now, you know, so many people, they'll read that and say, oh, that's nice, that's important. They'll forget it, and they'll go on about their lives. But a lot of people will not, especially young people. Now there are millions of people worldwide, millions. I could say tens of millions, really. But at least millions of people who are inspired and devoted to the making the world aware. Awareness, that's what's happened here. Whereas my life that I've lived my life for about 40 years feeling like there was virtually nobody aware of this problem. Now and then in the last 20 years or 10 years, a book or so, find a few people, but mostly people just they ignored it, which, as Greta has so eloquently said, it's been clear for decades, but now they're aware. And this coming year, Glasgow, I think, is where the meeting will be in the fall. Oh boy, we'll see what happens leading up to that, and if nothing better is done. There are also the fires. There's the current fire in Australia, horrendous. I mean, the fire in California got people's attention, but then they move on. Portugal, Ibid, got people's attention, but they moved on. It could be that the one in Australia may go a little bit further than that. And then the fact that Trump, this is an election, Trump has been impeached. He probably won't be removed from office, but in a sense he's been exposed. And so that helps there too. But solutions, there's the rub, you might say. That's the rub, solutions. Being aware of the problem is one thing. Coming up with a solution or solutions is quite another. And now there are thousands of proponents or ideas that are being floated out there, in a sense like Samuel Alexander's idea of wild democracies. Experiments being made all over the place, and suggestions, and you might say charlatans, and maybe that's what I am. But there's where my movie Hope could not only offer hope against this awareness, but also a solution. Bye for now.